Hi, my name is Shandy. I'm new to YouTube. I usually do Facebook, and that's where I share all of my testimony and what I've been going through lately, and the pictures of my beautiful, beautiful baby girl, and who's now 20 months old. And I've never really liked making videos where I'm the one speaking. For obvious reasons, some people don't like the camera, and it's funny because I used to do a lot of modeling for Harley Davidson and swimsuit modeling and stuff like that, so I should be very comfortable and familiar with the camera. So the reason I'm starting to make YouTube videos instead of just speaking about it on Facebook, speaking about my life and my experience and what God's been doing in my life. It's just, YouTube is amazing. It's an amazing outreach. So many more people can hear what you have to say. On Facebook right now I have around 1,200 followers, and all I want to do is share the love of God. I want to share what He's done in my life and what I've been through, who I was growing up, and I grew up in church, but then, as some of you are experiencing now or have experienced before, backsliding, where you're just tired of doing what's right. You're tired of being obedient to the calling God has for you, and you do your own thing. So I did that, and today I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am and why I want to reach people. So I'll start off by saying I'm 33 years old, and as I told you in the beginning, my name is Shandy Nicole Lester. I was born in West Virginia, raised in North Carolina, and then whenever I turned 18, I was just so ready to get out of the town that I was in, and at that time I was partying and drinking, smoking weed, started messing with pain pills. So I was looking for a job that would allow me to make good money and stay high while I did it. So I started dancing and traveling everywhere, like California, Florida. I danced in Mexico, and some of you are probably like, that is insane, especially since I did all of that by myself. I bought my own plane ticket. My first time flying, I flew by myself. I had always been a very bold and courageous person, and now that I have grown up in Christ and experienced His love and His mercy, I understand that He made me bold and courageous for a reason. He made me a strong person because I have a job in the kingdom to do. But at that time, I used that for my advantage, to just travel and make money and meet people, and I wasn't scared. And at that time I did make a lot of money, and I had fun, buying all the things that caught my eye. Everything I wanted I got. When I got bored in California, I bought a ticket, went somewhere else, and I had a lot of God moments even then, because I had grown up in church. God was calling me back home. So we'll skip forward to whenever God really got my attention. I moved from California back to West Virginia, where my grandparents lived, and I decided that I was going to go back to school, and God showed me a beautiful classroom with teeth everywhere, models of teeth, and radiology. It was a dental assisting program, And as I looked through the windows of that classroom, I knew that that's what God wanted me to do. So in 2005, I went to school for a dental assisting position. It was an 11-month program, so I graduated in 2006, and I was doing really good. You know, I got a job before I graduated the dental assisting program. I made straight A's. I was in the National Honor Society. I ranked second in my class. I mean, God was just pouring out blessings on me because I was obedient, and I left California. I left the drugs behind, and I came to a place where He had me to Himself. And you know, that's why it's so important as Christians that we stay in the Word of God, that we seek Him in all things, that we have a constant communication with Him. You know, when we acknowledge Him in all we do, He will truly direct our paths. And so He was doing that for me. And around 2011, you know, I slowly started slipping away. I tore my ACL, and snowboarding, you know, I loved to snowboard and skateboard, and I liked to surf. I was one of those beachy girls, athletic and trying to, you know, outdo the boys when it came to snowboarding and stuff. But I tore my ACL, and I was prescribed oxycodone 30 milligram. And you know, I knew what I was doing, because before I tore my leg, tore my ACL, I was still, you know, dabbling back with the pill thing. So I knew then that I could really get a prescription. So I did, and you know, fast forward, here's 5 years later, I am still prescribed heavy pain medication and Xanax. And my life was just spiraling out of control. I mean, there was days, you know, I was a functioning addict. Some days I would go to work in the dental office, and just one day, I remember this, I was nodding out, you know, while I was on the computer talking to parents about what their child needed to come back for, what treatment we had left. And you know, when you start doing things like anything that can cause, for real, you could OD wherever you're at, but Lord forbid you OD at your job. You know, I was really going down a spirally, slippery, dangerous slide. So, you know, wasn't long after that, I decided to start selling my pain pills, and fast forward a couple years later, I got busted for selling them. And I had just found out I was pregnant with my very first baby, whom I did not plan for, but it was my fault. I wasn't trying to not get pregnant. I was just being an addict, you know, not really thinking about tomorrow. The only thing that I thought about for tomorrow was when I was going to get high, where I was going to go and get it if I was out of my prescription pills. So I was really a mess, you know, but I knew God from a young age. I knew that He was real. I knew that He was love. I knew that the birds were chirping because they were praising His name, praising the Creator. You know, I knew better than to do the things that I was doing. So God had a plan. You know, the Word of God says that He will turn curses into blessings. And that's what He did for me. But whenever I found out I was pregnant, I wasn't happy about it. I was still, at this point in my addiction, not only was I doing my prescription meds, but when I ran out of those oxys, I was buying heroin. So I was shooting heroin and my oxycodone. I was doing Xanaxes, so I was constantly out of it. I mean, you couldn't catch me with my eyes wider than this. And it's not a joke, and it's not funny. I'm just being real. So the day that I got busted, it was like everything in me knew that something was going to happen. I knew that I shouldn't go and sell these pills. We knew the father of my baby, Genesis, he was going to go in and sell them, and they were my pills. But we both felt it. I felt like somebody was watching us when we were waiting in the parking lot. And, you know, all this time I had kept it a secret from most everybody in my family. Nobody knew that I was as bad off as what I was. So it was fixed in place. Once the deal was made, you know, cops come surrounding the vehicle. I just knew. It was like, it felt like what's the word I'm looking for? Deja vu. Because it was set in place by the spiritual realm. God had to take his hands back because, you know, I had chosen over and over and over to be disobedient to him. So when I was they took me to jail, you know, me and George, and while I was in jail, I was just thinking, how can I have this baby? I'm going to go to prison. I can't have this baby in prison. I'm not ready for a baby. I'm not ready to give up my addiction. There was so much fear and anxiety inside of my heart. But I just kept eating Xanaxes because I snuck those Xannies into the jail, and, you know, I was out of it. I only had to stay one night. My family came and got me, and then, you know, you're talking about a hopeless time in my life. And I'll fast forward a couple of months forward, and God started confirming some things, that everything was going to be okay in my life, that he was going to take care of me. You know, because Satan was already trying to tell me to abort this baby. That, you know, I'm going to prison, I don't need the baby, somebody else will have her, I'll never get her back, blah, 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 you know. And one night, George and I were praying about all these things. We were laying on the hood of my mom's car out in North Carolina in the country. It was super dark. You could see every star in the sky. And as we lay there praying and asking God, you know, we need a confirmation, God. Send us a shooting star. And George said, yeah, one that goes all the way across the sky. We just kept praying and talking to him, just pouring out our heart's desires and our fears. And, you know, a few minutes later I said, yes, God, give us that star. And he did. Like right then, a star went all the way from one side of the sky to the other. And it had the thickest, longest tail. I mean, it was like in slow motion. It was a star straight from God. He was like, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. So after that moment, I embraced pregnancy. This was in 2015, whenever we got our charge, December 2015. And, you know, we were going to court off and on for a whole year and a half. So while I was pregnant, you know, I was exercising, I was eating right, rollerblading. Some people think that's crazy, but I was very athletic prior to pregnancy, and I was athletic during pregnancy. So I exercised, and I knew I wanted to have a home birth. I wanted to have her at home in a birthing pool, and I just visualized family and comfort, you know. And this is for a whole nother video, the whole story, but I will say I had an unassisted birth, or free birth. It's where we delivered our own baby without medical professionals being there, midwives, doctors, none of that. I did a lot of research, a lot of educating myself, and a lot of prayer. But it was a beautiful, beautiful birth. was precious, super spiritual. I just trusted my body. Alright, so we got 8 full months together, me and my baby. You know, I was breastfeeding her. She was gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful, wise, perfect, healthy in every way. And we had such a great bond. And we had to go back and forth, as I said before, from here in Georgia to North Carolina to court over the trafficking charges. We had 4 counts of trafficking charges and some other things, intent to sell and stuff like that. So the DA offered a plea to George and me because, or George and me, I'm not George, because the detective on our case had been caught for falsifying evidence and even planting evidence on other people's case. And I know that he actually falsified evidence and some things that he said about our case, so I knew they were up to something. But we were doing a lot of praying, and God answered my prayers. So the DA offered us a plea deal of 2 years supervised probation and, you know, paying all the fines and stuff. So on March 29th, 2017, we went to court, and Genesis was with us because we had to travel. You know, and when we made these trips up, we would go up and then come right back. It was a hard drive, but we were both working. God blessed us with both wonderful jobs, even after all this. But let's just say on that day, March 29th, George's plea deal was accepted. He got the 2 years probation, but I felt in my heart, my spirit, I felt so sick. I just knew something wasn't right. You know, God started giving me dreams weeks prior about me being taken into custody. So I kind of felt like I wasn't going to be leaving that day, but I wasn't sure. You know, I didn't prepare. I didn't put back enough breast milk for my baby girl. I didn't tell my employer because I thought I was going to actually come back home, just like George. But nah, she threw those papers off her desk. She said, "I'm not accepting this. Give me something I can work with." So my belly, my gut just sank. I knew I was getting ready to do time, but I didn't know how much. The lawyer that I had, he told me there was a possibility we could do 4% of a 94-month sentence. 4% would have been 4 months. And I could either do it that day and go to prison for 4 months, or take a chance, you know, continue it, possibly get another judge that would accept the plea deal of probation, or the same judge would have been there and she could have not give me anything except 94 months in prison. So it was a huge gamble. You're talking about sick. I fell apart. I had to trust in God. I had to trust that He had my back. And it was hard. You know, I was mad. How could God let this happen? How could you do this, God? You know, I was going to church, and I was working a good job, and I was being a good mom. You know, I was so mad. But God started speaking to me right away. I had a lunch break, a recess of about 45 minutes for me to go back in there to decide what I wanted to do. So we sat in the car for a little while, me, George, and Genesis, and she's nursing. And I'm just screaming, crying, holding her, and I just told George, I said, I'm running away, I'm going to Mexico. I am not going back in there, I'm gone, I'm out of here. And I knew that wasn't right either, because then I would be running for the rest of my life, and then it was only 4 months, you know, but I couldn't imagine leaving her for even a day. I had never left her, only to go to work, and I would come home on my lunch breaks. We had a babysitter here at this house for her. I wouldn't even send her to daycare. I guarded this baby with everything in me. It was hard, but I made the decision to go. And prison, that was where my spiritual revival happened. That is where I became free, in prison. I'll save that for another video. I just wanted to kind of talk to you in this first video a little bit about who I am, my testimony. And this is just like scratching the surface, but I thought this would be a good start to kind of let you know what kind of videos I'm going to be making. I started making videos prior to going to prison, and it was all like mom stuff and talking about my breastfeeding journey and, you know, Genesis milestones and stuff like that. But I feel like there's a lot of women, mothers in particular, men also, dads, you know, there's so many people out here in this world that needs to hear truth right now, and they need hope, they need encouraged, they need to know that whatever they are going through, there's a way out. Suicide's not the answer. Abortion is not the answer. Running is not the answer. And blaming God is not the answer. So I hope that you guys will tune in, check out some other videos I'm going to be making in the future, and I hope that you are all having a blessed life, and wherever you may be out there, don't forget to love one another, show compassion, and be transparent with who you are. And I'll see you next time.